Reading is arguably the hardest section to improve in, right? And the reason that is because most people don't get focus on the right things that are going to actually improve their score, and they focus on different aspects of the reading section that aren't directly correlated to actually increasing your score. There's only one or honestly a couple things that you can really do to improve your reading score, and specifically because of your timeline, right? You don't have that much time to prepare for the October SAT in terms of the reading section. You don't have time to the generic route. So there's even lesser things that you can do to actually improve your score in the timeline. You're going to have to excuse my voice. I've been sick for about 2 weeks now, but I'm trying to post this content to help you guys right before the October SAT. So hi, I'm Karthik. These are SAT reading tips, right? Tricks, strategies, anything that you're going to need to improve on the reading section. Okay, the first thing that we're going to focus on is this idea of focusing on one skill. I've talked about this before, but it's honestly the most important factor of reading. That you have to get into your head that you're not going to be able to radically increase your score for every single skill, right? Realistically, you're going to be able to improve significantly on one for sure, and maybe two in the time that you have left. If you're watching this video within 24 hours of it coming out, that's probably realistic for you to master one skill on the reading SAT, right? And here's how you're going to do that. The main idea behind any skill, right, in reading specifically with any specific question is that if you repeatedly practice all the types of questions and reading passages and drawing from them for that one kind of question and then building a strategy towards getting that question correct, you're going to eventually get that question 100% correct, right? But you should generally only care about one type of question because of your timeline. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that type of question, just figure out what it is, and the one that you want to pick has to be your worst, right? If you pick one they're already good at, the amount of score that you're going to increase is going to be so minimal to the amount of effort that you're going to put in. So pick one that you get wrong so many times, right? That you get wrong the most, right? You should only care about that one type of question. And once you find that question that you get wrong the most, or you probably already know it if you've been practicing, you try to find those questions in all the practice exams that you've been taking. And on top of that, try to find those questions on the SAT Suite question bank. Look that up. Find the type of skill that your question falls under the category of in the reading section. You can find all the details about that on the what is on the SAT on the College Board website, that page. Figure out where your specific question falls under what skill and what the SAT calls that skill, and look that up on the SAT Suite question bank to try to figure out all those types of questions, and then study that type of question, right? Master it, build strategies for them, try to figure out why did I get the question wrong previously? How can I not get it wrong next time, right? And the Sweet Bank really helps with this because it gives you an explanation for why the correct answers are correct, and the explanations actually tend to be pretty decent. So especially for the harder questions. So what you want to do is figure out why the correct answer is correct, why you picked the wrong answer, and why the wrong answer is wrong. And then make a strategy using all of that information that'll prevent you from getting the wrong idea, but that's also going to help you get the right answer, right? Because of the certain details that you missed or something that you emphasize too much. Make a strategy to prevent that from happening. That's the only way you're going to radically see an improvement on the actual accuracy of the question itself, right? In the whole test, if you get all of those questions right versus you normally would have gotten probably 5 to 6 of them wrong, right? 5 to 6 additional correct guaranteed is a significant improvement. All right. How do you read better? So generally, the two problems I see with reading is one, you misread or skip words on accident and you just fail to understand the idea of the passage as a result of that, or you read a passage and you understand all the words and you didn't skip anything, but it just felt like it didn't really make sense. So that's a comprehension issue, right? So the first thing, this is what I did for skipping or misreading words. I just used my pencil, right? I put my pencil to the word, went over every single word, and then just fully read it, right? And for comprehension, I softly mouthed the words as I read it. So I would read something and I would be like, right? So, and I would be actively looking at my SAT. Other people looking at me might think I'm a weirdo, but it works so much, right? And the reason why it works is because when you read something aloud, your comprehension is so much better than when you just read it in your head. It just works more parts of your brain to actually have to speak it as well as understand it, because speaking it forces you to read it with more detail and more intensity, because the requirement to speaking it is actually knowing the word and knowing that it makes sense and how it's pronounced and all of that, right? So forcing yourself to mouth the words softly, not making any audible noise, but just actually reading aloud without reading aloud forces you to pay more attention to the text, and it boosts your comprehension for sure, right? Obviously you could just literally summarize all of this with like focus more, do more, right? But those aren't clear enough strategies. You need to build a strategy that's actually clear, right? When I say focus more, like this is what I'm doing to focus more, the pencil technique and the mouth words, right? I want you to figure out things on your own as well. I want you to like actually experiment with anything that you've done in the past that might help you, like underlining certain things might help you, like what actually has gotten you to read before. And honestly, like find an interest, right? This is off like the slide a little bit. One thing that I notice is when I genuinely like spark an interest in myself in the passage, like when the story becomes somewhat interesting and I want to know all the details and starts making sense, it actually becomes so much more fun to read as a result. So focus on that aspect of it. Focus on the fun of it and the curiosity and wanting to know what happens next and being engaged and curious about it. And just you can like fake that and it becomes real when you actually start reading it, right? So like get that curiosity, get that like almost sense of like, oh, I wonder what happens. I wonder what this is going to talk about. I wonder what the main idea is going to be. That sort of engagement is going to help you read better as well. Okay. So for every single question, right? In the reading SAT, you need to focus on this main idea that they all are correct due to explicit details, right? Somewhere in the text, it is written explicitly the case where one of the answer choices is true, and all the other ones are either, not strong or they're like lightly written, or half of it is wrong, half of it is right. You really don't know how much, but for every single right answer, right? The idea is that explicit details from the text make it true. You don't necessarily have to assume anything major. You don't have to like make any large assumptions or implicit statements. You don't have to like deduct them, right? Unless they're extremely obvious and you can easily infer some sort of text, right? We want our focus to be a part of the text then, right? Not our memory of it. Our memory of it is going to mislead us and force us to go into those other answer choices. Well, oh, this could be true. This could be true, but we're not focused on what could be true. We're focused on what is explicitly true, what is explicitly stated in the passage, right? Unless we remember exact key terms from the passage from our memory, our memory is going to be somewhat faulty. It's going to give a vaguer description of it, right? Because our memory is going to tell us like generally what the main idea is, and all the other answer choices are meant to align with that main idea, right? They're not meant to align with all the key details though. So that's why the key details, phrases, words, those are the most important parts to remember, right? How you do that is you remember the location of where those events are in the text. Right? Don't focus on the text itself on the first read, but focus on all the location of the events, right? So if this happens in this paragraph, I need to know that this is there. If this is referenced in this paragraph, I need to know that this is there. And I want a main idea of every single paragraph ingrained in your head as you're reading it, right? So after every paragraph, you just like quickly give yourself a main idea, say it in your head, make sure it makes sense, and then move on. It'll help you get a general idea of where is where in every passage pretty effortlessly, right? And it just can't be a true assumption. It just has to be something that the author explicitly states, right? Unless the assumption is actually like an implicit statement that you can easily derive to be true from the text. Okay, here's just some simple tips overall. Do the questions in the order of easiest to hardest, but also do that for the passages, right? Skip the hardest passage, do all the easy ones first, and then go to the hardest passage, right? Use process of elimination, obviously. Eliminate the answer choices that are poor. And it's all obviously like if you know that they're not true, like they're not specifically referenced, or the evidence that they give you like explicitly says that one part isn't true or it's the opposite, eliminate that choice, right? Every time you should be guessing between two things that you think are explicitly true in the passage, and you just haven't found the thing that differentiates it from that. So that's what you need to be looking for when you have things where you're trying to guess, right? If you want a free SAT consultation where I can just explain to you everything like that you might want to know in a short period of time, and if you're also interested in SAT prep or my private community where I host discussions and have a bunch of free resources inside that you can use, you should apply down below, because I'm only offering a couple like spots to people. I have a very limited amount of space, and on top of that, I don't have that much time to help absolutely everybody. So apply. It's first come, first serve. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you learned something today.